Awesome. Cool. Well, this morning I want to talk a little bit about 2023, where are we going, what's happening, all that kind of thing. I want to go deeper into a lot of this come February, but I just thought I'd give a bit of an overview, give you guys a bit of an idea of what we're thinking as a leadership, some of the ideas that have been discussed, and then also kind of open up the floor. If you've got ideas or things that you think, I'd love to do that, I'd love to be a part of that, or I'd love to help with that, please come and see me, because I truly believe that the greatest thing I can do as a leader is to enable others to lead or to fulfill what is on their heart. So I've got a great desire to be a one-man band up here. Alright, so 2023, where to now? I find it really strange that we are in 2023. Like it just feels like a year in the future. Like it doesn't feel like a year that should be current, it's like, are we in the future? I guess technically we are in the future, but I was just thinking and kind of praying and seeking God about where should we go in 2023. So I'm going to start this morning by talking about a few things, kind of I guess spiritually in a sense and a feeling, and then a few things that practically we've been talking about doing. But first, I was like, okay, so it's good to make plans. I feel like I know that, but what does the Bible say about that? So I'm going to give you a few verses this morning. So Proverbs 16:9, it says, in their heart humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And I really loved this one. I was like, cool. So we can make plans, but my prayer is that the Lord establishes our steps. We plan and we build a service here every Sunday, and it's a pretty set formula. We do communion, we do worship, sermon, but the Lord establishes it. And even this morning as I was praying, I was like, Holy Spirit, this is your service. But the Lord establishes their steps. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you a hope and a future. It's a beautiful verse. A lot of people cling to that verse, and I think it's just, as we talk about plans for the future this morning. Isaiah 32:8, it says, but the noble make noble plans, and by noble deeds they stand. So there's a sense of being honourable in your plans and being noble in your plans. And Psalm 20 verse 4 says, he will give you the desires of your heart, and he will make all your plans succeed. And I really like this verse because it says that the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. But which way around is that? Is it that I come up with the desires and then the Lord grants them, or the Lord places desires in my heart and then the Lord grants them? So did he give me the desire in the first place? I just think that's really cool. When I was reflecting on last year, anyone want to take a guess what this picture is depicting? Prodigal son. Yes, good job. So one of my personal highlights, one of the sermons I really felt was really important last year was when I spoke about the prodigal son, and a lot about how God is calling us to have that father's heart. Are most people familiar with the story? So a man has two sons, and one of them stays and works on the farm, the other one cashes in his inheritance, he goes and wastes it all, and then comes back and is welcomed, and there's this whole family dynamic, because the one that stays is grumpy, but the father just has this open heart for people. And I was like, oh Lord, that's what I want us to have as a church. I want people to come through the door and feel like that son did when he returned home to his father. And we also talked about in that sermon, you can imagine every time somebody came back to church, every time somebody came back to the Lord, we threw a massive party. Like there should be a sense of excitement and joy. So I was pondering this, and one word particularly struck me, and I guess this is my word for 2023 for us as a church. It's one word. There you go, we'll go to the next slide. Home. I want us to feel like a home. And I've got the dictionary definition there. It says a place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or a household. So I want this to feel like people's homes. There's a verse in Psalms that says, so we're in Psalm 68, and I'll start about verse 4, but it says, sing to God, sing praises of his name, exalt him who rides on the clouds, rejoice before him, his name is the Lord. And this next bit is key. It says, a father to the fatherless, a defender of widows is God in his holy dwelling. God sets the lonely in families, and he leads out the prisoners with singing, but the rebellious live in a sun-scorched land. So as a church, I would really like us to just have this feeling when people come in, it feels like home. I think this is really important for any church. I've always loved that verse, and I've always believed that the church in general should be like that, but I think it's particularly important for Broken Hill, as we have people here that are missing family, not because of breakdown, not because something's gone terribly wrong, not because of dysfunction, but simply because of location. People move away from family. We were really blessed that my parents followed us here, and so did Tom, who's kind of family. Not going to explain how. Anyhow, but I remember when we came here, just this sense of, we don't know anybody. Like, this is really stressful. So there is people in this town, there's like almost a niche for us to be witnessing to and to be embracing, because they don't have that family there. And I'm sure there's also people that lack that sense of family because of dysfunction and because of all of those things, but it's almost a double-edged sword. You know, we can appeal to people in both of those respects. So in 2023, I want to be a church where we welcome people home. Let's be like that Father, let's embrace people. And this excites me particularly because, there we go, welcome home. Your home is a feeling that comes from us being God's children. When we are God's children, we embrace others. And we spent a lot of time last year on the With book, a lot of that's still on the back there. Everything during the 2 weeks that we went here, all of those posters fell down except for Life with God. So all of the postures that we learned were not good, all fell down, so that was kind of fitting. I still put them back up, but Josh was like, you realise? We spent a lot of time last year, if you weren't here for that health series, but basically the crux of that was about learning our identity in Christ, learning who we are as children of God. And when we understand that, we naturally want to outflow that to those around us. We naturally want to love those around us. We have been incredibly blessed with the people in this church that have stood up and put their hands up and helped us lead worship. We've been incredibly blessed with a lot of different things, but as a church, we've been coming out of COVID. There's you know, if you're looking for a church that's like a perfect show and everything's perfect and the worship leader never breaks key and all those kind of things, I don't think we're that church. But what I do know that we do really well is welcome people and embrace people. I know that because it happened to me. We've been here 2 years in April, and when we came to this church, we were welcomed and embraced. And honestly, had we moved out here from Josh's work or something, I don't know how we would have gone. Probably would have found a church, probably would have been this one. But my point is, you know, we were instantly welcomed and embraced by people. And I think we need to realise that that's such tremendous value in what we can offer the community of Broken Hill, is welcoming people in. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking for this year in terms of, you know, heart and where we're going. But there's some practicals that we've been talking about. There's a few things we have planned this year. A lot of these, or some of these, they're just ideas. So if you think it's a really great idea and you want to help bring it to life, that's really good. The first couple of things that we have set and we've planned, and I just want to talk about them a little bit. And like I said at the beginning, I believe that leadership is about enabling people to be their best selves and to be, you know, I want you to run with things, to get excited about things. So perhaps I mentioned something that tugs on your heartstrings, or perhaps the Holy Spirit prompts you and says, oh, you could be really involved with that, you could really help with that. Please come and chat with me. And I've put here, these are goals and ideas, not guarantees. So if some of these things don't get legs on them, you can't come to me and say, you said we're looking at it. Anyways, this first one, the practicals. We want people to help. I want people to be involved. This one is set, we've booked it all in and stuff. So we've got Brett Linda coming in February, from the 17th to the 19th, so it's not too far away, it's just over a month away. Brett is a healing evangelist, so we've had him visit before in Nag, and it was amazing. He was in Mildura a couple of months ago, and Pastor Bowl and Joy left here after church, and they got back to Mildura in time to go and see him there, so they've met him as well. But he's just a fabulous guy. He's got such a heart for the Lord. He spent, I think, he'll share his story as part of it, but it was years, like decades, just working as a mechanic, and he'd often service people's cars and then tell them about Jesus, and that was just kind of what he did. And he was an amazing evangelist even just in his day-to-day work, and then the Lord called him into full-time ministry, so he now travels around. But what I particularly like about what Brett does is he, as part of this, probably on a Saturday, we have a workshop. So Christians in town, and we're going to encourage everybody from this church to come along, but we're going to open it up to the other churches as well. And you come along for a day and he teaches you how to pray for people, how to pray for people for healing, all of these kind of things. So he doesn't just come with his anointing and heal some people, which is fabulous in and of itself, but he comes and he tries to impart some of that to us as a church so that we can feel empowered to pray and to minister to those in our community. So as part of that, there'll be opportunities to help cater as well. So we'll do a lunch as part of that Saturday thing, but we're also going to have a couple of open services to the community. So we want to have food and catering and tea and coffee, so we'll need people to help with all of those practical needs of that as well. And Brett is here staying, he'll be here staying in his caravan, which I just think is so awesome that as a church property we're set up enough that we can give people power and water and set them up here. I think that's really cool. Anyways, the second thing that we're doing early in the year is the World Day of Prayer, which is for Taiwan this year, and that's on March 3rd, and it'll be at 7 p.m. The churches in Broken Hill kind of shared around hosting this, so last year when it happened, Reverend Helen said to me, "Oh, would you like to host it next year?" And I said, "Yes, that would be fantastic." So we have hosted it before. Does people remember that? Looking at Anna and Pam. But each year a country is chosen, and then everybody on the same day meets together and prays for that. So we're hosting that for all the churches in Broken Hill. It's normally quite a big service. A lot of people, that's part of their yearly thing, is they come along to this World Day of Prayer. And I got a big package in the mail, and I'd kind of always forgotten about it because it was kind of in March. Then beginning of December, I got this package in the post, and it actually dropped a little card off here, like you've got, when you get a parcel, but no, we don't ever get anything posted to the church, really. So I thought, that's strange, and so I went down to the post office, and it was addressed to Ps Jessie. I thought, that's strange. And I opened it up, and it was all the promotional stuff for World Day of Prayer. But what really touched me was the person that runs the whole thing, the Australian coordinator, had typed out like a 2-page letter addressing everybody that was hosting, just talking about the heart for it, and how they want to impart it onto the next generation, and all these kind of things. And so I thought that was really, really exciting. And I'm excited to do things together as the Church of Broken Hill as well. So there are 2 things early this year that we have booked, we have locked in, and that I'm particularly excited about. Woo! Woo! Yay. Awesome. Alright, some other things that I have been thinking about. Freezer meals. These aren't actually frozen meals, they're just a picture of some meals. But hopefully yeah, that's definitely Josh's cooking. Late last year, some of you would remember we put together a care basket for one of the ladies in our church, and that was wonderful. People brought in donations and bits and pieces like that, but that kind of opened my eyes to thinking, well, is there a need there that we could have some meals in the freezer so that when things happen we can say, oh, here, have a meal, and it's just there ready to go on the day. And we might spend the next week putting together a basket, and it's really beautiful that everybody did that, but to have something practical in-house that we can give out that day would be really awesome. So if you feel like making some meals or putting them in the freezer, perhaps I'm saying this and you're going, oh, that's just the thing that I would really love to do. I could coordinate that, I could get people to make meals, and I could, that would be really exciting too. So yeah, freezer meals, that's another idea. Does anyone want to guess what this slide is alluding to?
Easter!
Easter! That's another thing that is actually happening.
Does that happen every year?
That happens every year. I love Easter. I love, I think it's really healthy for us as Christians to kind of go through the solemn process of Easter, of realising that Christ died for our sins and our salvation and to bring us into a relationship with God. And then also the celebration that comes on Easter Sunday, realising that He has risen again. So we will be doing Easter things as a church, but something I'd really love to do is some sort of outreach to the community. I think Easter speaks really strongly because we're talking about the greatest gift we ever received. So what can we give to the community to go, no, this is free. Just like the Christ, like Jesus freely gave His life for you, so we're doing this for you for free. I don't know what that kind of looks like yet, but I think it would be really awesome to do some sort of Easter outreach. Okay, so you don't want to guess what this one is? No, it's all written there. You can't guess, really. Another thing that we've been talking about a little bit as a leadership team is perhaps running the Alpha Marriage course. Now, me and Josh have done this course, myself and Josh and I. When you like talk and then you hear yourself and you're like, that just sounds really... Anyways, Josh and I have done this course before. What did you think of it, Josh?
Yes, it was great.
Yes, it was great. Do you remember any of it?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, well he's going to do it again. Should we do it? He doesn't know that yet.
Josh was very uncomfortable. You right, Josh? You look very uncomfortable.
I was on the spot.
Yeah. He's okay. This course, which I think is like 8 to 10 parts, is amazing. It's like a tune-up for your marriage. It's really wonderful. I got thinking about it, particularly when I was taking Thomas and Naomi through the pre-marriage stuff, and just wanted us to kind of meet together and talk about these things. So if we're going to run it, we'd probably use the foyer, but the idea is that each couple has their own little table, and they sit and they have a meal, and then you watch kind of these videos, and you get a course book, and you fill out the bits and pieces, and it talks about the different seasons that marriages have. And I remember last time we did it, we had some friends who had remarried, and they had children aging from, I think, 40 to 8 between them, and everything was just kind of, there was a lot coming together in their marriage. And the course talks about like the newlywed phase, and this phase, and that phase, and then you raise your children, and they realised that they were trying to navigate multiple phases of marriage at once. And so for them to have that language around it was really powerful. For myself and Josh, it was just, sometimes, I think at the time we had little children, and so one of the things it talks about, the stresses of having little people and just kind of the busyness of that stage of life. And so just to know that that was normal was really powerful. The idea is that it is a really outreach thing. So the little clips are done by Nikki and Cilla Lee, who are a couple out of the UK. And they pray at the end of each clip, and they do different things, but it's designed that, you could say to one of the mums at school, just looking around, I'm one of maybe 3 people that has mums at school to talk to, or you could say to one of your friends down at the club, or you could say to somebody, hey, we're doing this marriage course at our church, and like they do pray at the end of it, and it's based around the Bible's definition of marriage, but it's welcome to anybody. Like, you and your husband will really love it. There's a meal as part of each week, and it's going to be fantastic. So it's a real outreach thing to people in our community, and it's designed for people from newlyweds right through to 40, 50, 60 years of marriage. So I'm really excited about that. We're hoping to get some legs on that one. But that'll need things like potentially people to help cook. We could look at running some sort of creche so that we can have people with children come along. I know that when we did it, my in-laws offered to babysit so that we could go along and do it. So, but all those kind of things, there's practical things that will need to be done there. Another thing that we're looking at for next year, does anyone want to guess this slide? This is fun, I should do more.
Disco.
Disco? Not quite.
Disco.
Youth, yeah. So we've been looking at youth. We did try and get some legs on a Friday night, I think last year, and it didn't quite happen. But I do meet with the youth most Tuesdays, no, I said Wednesdays. They finish school like silly early. What time do you finish school on Tuesday, Sophie? 2:30. So 2:45 we go down to Macca's and have a drink and chat and just try to build a relationship with the youth there. But something we want to really look at next year is going along to some different youth camps and just really getting them involved with that. So I'm in some preliminary discussions with a few different people across the country that run different youth camps, and chuck them all in a car and go and give them those kind of really amazing experiences. So that's just a few things, and much more. I think as a church, there's just so many things we could practically do. And I love the saying, there's lots of good ideas, but what are the God ideas? Yeah, did you want to share something, Karen? Yeah? Okay, you can come in.